do the live.
Okay.
No, I mean the pasta.
Okay.
Were you in the playground?
No, at home.
Oh. What you want? Olive oil? No. On this how what do you want? Oh, I don't know if I have time to get it.
What?
Honey, you want honey? Yeah. Why you don't take a green park? It's nice outside.
They don't want to go out.
She don't want to go out, but she's my free day, free time. Okay, sit next to her that she's looking straight. She want pizza on the way home?
You want pizza? Okay, she wants pizza.
What about you? You want pizza?
No.
Did you cook anything?
I'm gonna cook.
Okay.
Say bye.
See you soon. What you say? Ayana.
He had befriended a person that became an FBI undercover agent called Jack Van Langingham, and they have hundreds of hours of recordings that have been sealed. Now, Jack Van Langingham came out and said that Carlos Marcello told him that he had helped organize the assassination, that he knew Oswald, that David Ferrie had introduced Oswald to him, and that Jack Ruby was basically that he'd set up Jack Ruby in New Orleans, in Dallas, and that he essentially was running his bar, and that the Dallas police were all on the take. Jack Van Langingham also, so he sends some memos as well to the San Francisco office of the FBI, and when he apparently had cut a deal, and he was concerned that the FBI wasn't following through on their part of the deal. We need to have these records unsealed, and so the Department of Justice is actually the party that needs to do this. And I have asked in a letter to Pam Bondi to arrange to have these tapes unsealed, because we have to hear what Carlos Marcello actually said. I don't think the mafia could have been in a position to alter the autopsy. But I think Carlos Marcello probably helped pay for the operation, which probably was conceived at the operational level. And we also know that Carlos Marcello, his bagman for LBJ was this guy Jack Halpin, I think his name.
Halper, yes.
So there could be a connection between LBJ and Marcello. So there was one set of documents that were produced last month about Marcello, but they were limited to the efforts that the government was doing to try to prosecute him for lying about his his birth certificate. And it was all about their effort to investigate, in Guatemala, and it really didn't pertain, there really wasn't anything there. The one interesting thing that came out of that, though, was that apparently Jim Garrison had requested that files that were taken by the FBI the weekend that Ferrie was killed or died.
Yep.
He wanted them
like, share, subscribe.
They had been seized, and I didn't realize that he had asked for them.
On to the next one. On to the next one. On to the next one.
Can do is we have to get the Walter Sheridan files, because
time
files.
I'm scoring next. Please stay clear of the closing door.
He did his own investigation. Those records were put into the JFK library, and then when the ARG asked for them, they were sent to NBC. And Walter Sheridan claimed that he did this as part of an NBC investigation on Garrison. So the Marcello tapes are really important. We have to get them released. and we're pressing for that, and the Walter Sheridan from the Department of Justice. And also, I think NBC has some films of the day of the assassination, the Darnell film and the Wigman film, that could possibly be exculpatory for Oswald. I don't know if they are, but they could be, and we want them to be 3D animated. I mean, to have them evaluated so that we can determine that. I have some forensic evidence I would like them to study. I don't know if we have time for that, but
WABC.
in the late 90s, someone discovered that there was organic material on the bullet fragments that were found in the limo, and we
WABC.
determined that they were human.
$1.
And then the next step was to determine
$1.
whose
Ice cold
tissue is
water.
that. And is it John Connolly or is
Ice
it
cream,
President
ice
Kennedy?
cream.
Because if it's John Connolly, then that demolishes some DNA.
Ice
done
cold water,
using modern
$1.
technology, and I'd like to get some 3D analysis done
Give me
on the
3D.
bullets, all the bullets, and the rifle. because
3D
78,
bullets.
when the HSCA
Where's
fired
the
the
3D
rifle,
bullet?
the bullets from 78 did not match the bullets from 1964. They claimed it was because the rifle had changed over the years, but subsequently we have learned that bullets rifling does not change even if you fire a rifle 1,000 times. So there's something fishy, and we've heard through the grapevine that's been extended another 6 months.
That is also my understanding. Mobster dominated the mob in both Texas and Louisiana. And when Larry speaks to the ARB, the Assassinations Review Board, you can see why we had him join us today. He has raised a number of significant questions, particularly that of the NBC film. As my understanding, NBC is trying to overload Luna with extraneous film, but I think she will get to the bottom. I want to thank our guest, Larry Schnapp, one of the country's leading experts on the Kennedy assassination, for joining us today, and we'll have him back as things develop. Larry, thank you for joining us.
WABC.
Come on, Roger. Good luck and have a good day.
This is New York's talk leader, the crown jewel of talk radio. WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays. News first at 59 past the hour. 77 WABC News starts now.
77 WABC News, 59 past the hour. It is 79 and partly sunny on this Sunday, July 13th. Good afternoon. I'm Liz Radabali. President Donald Trump says the United States is the hottest country in the world. In an interview with Fox News, Trump said several world leaders told him they thought the U.S. was dead before he took office, and they're now congratulating him on what he's accomplished.
And it felt dead.
Mysterio.
We had not only had no leadership, we had negative leadership. It was a regressive leadership.
He went on to say the country under former President Biden was a, quote, horror show. Trump touted his efforts to crack down on illegal immigration, saying what his political opponents did to the country
Bastille.
should never be forgiven. President Trump has given the green light for weapons shipments to Ukraine to resume after a Pentagon pause. Tony Waterman has more.
President Trump says the new shipment of weapons will include Patriot air defense systems, which have the ability to detect and shoot down Russian missiles. But the weapons won't go directly to Ukraine. President Trump says they will instead be sold to NATO, which will then distribute them to Kiev. The resumption of weapons supplies comes as Trump grows increasingly frustrated with Russia, which is intensifying its attacks against Ukraine despite ongoing peace talks. Trump says he will make a major statement on Russia this coming Monday without providing details, but it could include fighting new sanctions against the Kremlin. Tony Waterman, Washington.
Delivery.
It has been 1 year since the assassination of
DoorDash,
presidential
Grubhub.
candidate Donald Trump in Pennsylvania.
If you want to really see something you just said, take a look at what happened.
While speaking to over 15,000 rally-goers at the Butler Farm Showgrounds, shots rang out fired by a would-be assassin on a nearby rooftop. Trump just happened to turn his head, referencing a chart when the bullet whizzed by, grazing his ear. Trump was left with a bloody ear, but a volunteer firefighter, Corey Comparatori, was killed and 3 others were wounded. The gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was killed by Secret Service agents. A Palestinian-American man has been killed in the West Bank. correspondent Matt Bradley has more on that story.
20-year-old Saifullah Mustalat, born in Florida and visiting relatives, was beaten to death Friday by Israeli settlers. In a post online, Mustalat's family said settlers blocked the ambulance and paramedics from providing life-saving aid for several hours.
It's believed Mustalat was at least the fifth American killed in the West Bank since the Palestinian militant group launched an attack on Israel in October 2023. The State Department says it's aware of reports on this death. Border czar Tom Homan is speaking out after a federal judge ordered a halt to immigration raids in Los Angeles. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Homan said the judge is overstepping their authority.
I don't think any federal judge can dictate immigration policy. That's a matter for Congress and for the president, and I know the Department of Justice is going to litigate it, so I want to take it to the appeals court.
The order bars any agents from relying on a race, language spoken, type of work, or location when detaining suspects. Attorneys with public counsel in the ACLU argued recent ICE operations in the LA area amounted to racial profiling. Health officials in Arizona say a person is dead from the plague. Will Humble with the Arizona Public Health Association calls it a shockingly rare diagnosis.
You might see pneumonic
Please stay clear of the closing door.
most one time in your career.
The unidentified patient
Times
came into
Square,
the emergency
please
room
stay
at the
clear of the
hospital,
closing door.
died the same day.
After
Testing
Times
results
Square is
confirmed that the
one-
person died from pneumonic plague
$1
caused by the
banana.
same bacterium as a bubonic
$1
plague
mix.
that devastated Europe in the 14th century. Pneumonic plague affects the lungs, whereas bubonic plague affects the lymph nodes. It is the first death from pneumonic plague reported in the region since 2007. New York Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge is making more MLB history. Juan Martier has the details.
In Saturday's loss to the visiting Chicago Cubs,
I
Judge
scored
launched his
one time.
35th home run of the season, bringing his career total to 350. Milestone
I
set a
scored
new record
one
as Judge
time.
officially became the quickest player in league history to reach the 350 homer mark, accomplishing the feat in 1,088 career games. The previous record was held by former Oakland A's slugger Mark McGwire, who notched his 350th home run in nearly 200 more games. The two-time American League MVP currently ranks second in the majors in home runs, behind Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh. I'm Rob Bontier.
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and a softball showdown on Sunday, July 20th. Gates open at 9:30 a.m. with net proceeds benefiting Shriners children. Complete with a kids zone, home run derby, and a fastest pitch contest for cash prizes. John Sterling will call the game as the FCNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Good and Art Shansky. 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more information and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildrenChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildrenChampions.org. The Connecticut man is thanking his family after finding a lost $150,000 lottery ticket. Russell Russ said the winning ticket was gone for a week. He eventually found it after a 16-year-old cat crawled behind the bed, leading him to move the furniture. The ticket matched 4 out of 5 winning numbers plus the Powerball. Our batted power play making his prize jump from $50K to $150,000. And now your forecast from the 77 WABC weather desk. Today, cloudy skies, high of 79. I'm Liz Radabali. Remember, the news, it never stops at WABCRadio.com.
Expressed by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the politics or positions of WABC Radio, its management, or its sponsors.
WABC.
by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
On July 2nd, Sean Diddy Combs was only found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, the Mann Act, related to his former girlfriend, Casey Ventura, and another woman known as Jane. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 10 years, though sentencing guidelines suggest a range of 4 to 5 years, with Combs already having served about 9 months behind bars. He was acquitted on the more serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and 2 counts of sex trafficking that could have led to life imprisonment. The trial, which lasted nearly 2 months, revealed allegations of a criminal enterprise involving coerced sex acts, drugs, and violence, although Combs' defense argued that all those acts were consensual. The judge in the case has denied bail, citing Combs' potential danger, and proposed sentencing is now set for October 3rd of 2025. Combs will now face additional civil suits, which have a lower burden of proof. Here to help us break this shocking development down is Jaco Booyens. He is a recognized leader in the fight against sex trafficking. In President Trump's first term, he served as the advisor to the Trump White House's Anti-Trafficking Council. He also advises several nations and organizations combating human trafficking. His efforts are universally recognized.
Those indirect negotiations between Hamas and Israel had rather cooled.
Well, certainly the hope on the part of the Americans continues to be expressed. Mr. Witkoff saying that maybe there is some ground for hope. Apparently he's talking to a Qatari delegation in the United States, not in Doha, because the reality is from there we've heard sources on both sides saying that there is an impasse. The Hamas delegation saying that they don't believe the Israelis who are sent there have any sort of power to get a deal over the line. Israel saying that Hamas aren't willing to play ball and they're not looking to compromise. And I think at this point, Tim, that the real sticking point comes to where the Israeli forces would move to if there is this 60-day ceasefire.
And that was the BBC's Nick Speak in Jerusalem. As we've been hearing, this deadly incident involved a queue for water today. We've heard a lot in recent weeks about food distribution in Gaza, the lack of food. Hundreds of people have been reported killed while trying to get food to the new and controversial Israeli-American-backed GHF distribution site. I think we're talking about that. But there's been perhaps less attention on the continuing dearth of water. Tanya Hari is executive director of the Israeli human rights advocacy group Gisha, which focuses on access for Palestinians, particularly in Gaza. What about then the lack of water there?
So you had Israel blocking entry of fuel for 130 days since March 2nd, creating severe shortages. And of course, since, there's no electricity in the Gaza Strip following the October 7th attacks, fuel-powered generators are vital for water desalination, purification, and distribution. A small amount of fuel let in last week just simply isn't enough. What's more, we're seeing that about 80% of water and sanitation facilities are within areas that have been put under displacement orders. So that means many water wells and desalination plants aren't operating. And on top of that, you have pipelines bringing water purchased from Israel, and these have all at various points not operated. At the moment, one of those pipelines, which has been serving the middle area where this incident this morning occurred and where most of the population is concentrated, isn't working. So all of that combined, we're just seeing crisis levels of lack of access. It's estimated that people are receiving less than 15 liters of water per person per day, which is the emergency standard.
The Israeli army, and in particular Kogat, the part of the Israel Defense Forces that is responsible for the distribution of aid into the Palestinian territories. I mean, you mentioned, I think, 15 litres of water per day per person in Gaza, which is crisis levels. I mean, it put out a statement just within the last few days saying that the water supply stands at approximately 31 litres per person per day in the north of the Strip and approximately 43 litres per person per day in the south. So they are directly contradicting your figures.
The issue is distribution. I don't know where they're getting their figures, but what they've done throughout the war in their communications is taken the amount that in theory could be available, the same with aid, and what we're seeing at the moment is a total crisis in terms of access. It's the trucking of the water that, needs to reach people, but it's also the fact that these facilities are within areas that are under displacement orders. So it could be that there is some water available in a certain well, but if it's in an area where if you enter that place, you'll be shot, well, effectively that water is not available to the population.
And similarly, when it comes to fuel, again, you said that only a small amount of fuel is getting in. I think it was just 2 days ago they announced, KOGAS, that 150,000 litres of fuel were transferred through the Kerem Shalom crossing this week. Again, are you saying that either those figures are incorrect or they're simply inadequate?
Those figures are just simply inadequate. There has been a total block on entry of fuel since March 2nd. We saw a bit come in last Wednesday for the first time after 130 days. Water is needed for every kind of life-saving civilian infrastructure in Gaza, for hospitals, for clinics, for water and sanitation facilities, for the communication systems, ambulances and rescue services. So you imagine that small amount that enters needs to be distributed around the Strip for all of these purposes. It's really simply not enough. It needs to enter in larger amounts and consistently. That is every single day from here on out.
Talia Hari from Giza in Israel. For much of its modern history, Ireland was a deeply hostile environment for unmarried mothers. They were often sent to work accompanied by their children in institutions such as laundries run by the Catholic Church. Now final preparations are being made at one of those sites, Hume in the west of Ireland, to excavate a mass grave where hundreds of children and babies are believed to be buried. Our Ireland correspondent Chris Page has more.
The institution and the memorial, they're sorry, the local people put that up there. The founder of the city, people still come from all over the world. A lot of people all over the world are shocked that this happened in Ireland.
Yes.
Being a Catholic country.
We are on a patch of grass beside a children's playground in the middle of a housing estate. This was the site of an institution which has come to define the most disturbing of Ireland's
Like, share, support.
Mary, mother and baby boom. It states the taboo of being born outside marriage, even when you let this ground.
Speed camera reported ahead.
Catherine has been
she recorded an interview with us. Her family have given us permission to broadcast it. She told us what happened when she accidentally fell into the tank.
I looked around that way and the next one down here. And then that's when I seen the little bones in there.
How many of the bumpholes were there?
Hundreds I felt in it.
Hundreds. And so,
And the thoughts have gone down. You know, from west and front and the damn place. The little bones I got in them as a down to doors now. So I think the hills will be enough.
I think that's important.
It is impossible lots of places.
Campaigners, survivors and relatives are hoping that as many of the babies and children as possible will be identified.
This is William. And no, that's just
Anna Corrigan has boxes full of documents about her family and Tuam. She thinks she may have two brothers buried at the site. Anna was in her late 50s when she found out that she wasn't the
Yep,
only
one
child.
tomato coming up.
She said it's very difficult to get solid information.
all of the time crosses of children. Of allocation. What I want is if I find the brother.
Thank you for
on the side,
it.
but I can actually put on a tombstone previously fire space John and Living.
The site's now sealed off with a fence 2.5 meters high as archaeologists and other scientists begin digging. It's thought there's never been an exhumation of children's remains on this scale anywhere in the world. The excavation is expected to take 2 years. Those most affected by the scandal are longing for healing after generations of stigma and shame. Island correspondent Chris Page reporting. BBC News.
Here you go. One tomato, here you go. Thank you for sticking around. See you tomorrow, peace on. Peace on, peace on. See you tomorrow.
So glad you're with us for the BBC News Hour here this afternoon. I'm Tiffany Hampton. This is